Mr. Albo.
Mr. Speaker, members of the House, if I beg your indulgence, I had some information on this I think you might find interesting and unfortunately somewhat disturbing. This bill is one of about a handful of bills dealing with sex crimes against children. And as state legislators, I think we unfortunately need to know a little bit about this. So we had a meeting in House courts, a presentation on the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. And what this group is, a group of police, they operate out of Bedford, described to us as the kind of things that are going on in Virginia. You may not know that a child molester, I guess we call them for lack of a better word, will generally molest about 20 to 25 kids before they're ever caught. And this crime is now no longer something that just happens at night when no one knows about it. It's actually all over the internet. I think for those of us who were in this meeting we had in courts when we saw, we're just absolutely astonished and shocked. When you talk about child porn, it's not just pictures of kids. Now it's much more gruesome. I can't describe it on the floor because it wouldn't be appropriate, but I guess that what I can tell you is if you could think of the most disgusting and worst thing that you could ever think that a man could do to a kid, make it worse and add infants and toddlers to it. It's that bad. We found out that there are people who actually film their crimes, and we unfortunately saw a video called a grooming video, which is where it's a cartoon that tries to teach kids that this stuff is normal and natural. This grooming video actually ended up at the end with confetti and clapping hands, hopefully trying to encourage the kid to do it again as a, because it's something good. So that's the bad news. The good news is I think we have some new tools here which are really exciting. Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force uses this massive computer database. When a piece of child pornography, video, picture, whatever, is found, it is digitized into what's called a digital fingerprint. It has a certain code that's assigned to it. And that is loaded into this big, massive computer in Florida. The Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, ICAC is their acronym, they have a system here at Bedford that will search the Internet in Virginia and find every computer that is accessing one of these things. I wish I had a big blow-up of this, but this is a picture of a map of Virginia. And I can tell you there are probably 600 or 700 dots all over this map of computers that have accessed this kind of information. What happens next is that they don't exactly know whose computer it is at that time. They have an internet address. So remember these bills we passed a couple of days ago dealing with search warrants of ISPs, internet service providers. So a police officer will say this computer is accessing this stuff, find out that it is on a server someplace, serve a warrant on the server, the company will tell you who owns the computer. And then the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force goes out and executes search warrants to try to find these depraved individuals. Last year, the ICAC alone executed 325 search warrants, and I believe that the testimony, if I recall correctly, was well over 100 successful prosecutions. Now, you sit here and we argue with each other. We have Republican-Democrat fights and everything. And that's all part of the process. But I'm sure this issue is a 100% buy-in from everybody. And think about what you do as a state legislator, because it should make you feel good when you leave here next week to know what you have done. Because of the past last year and the bills that you will pass this year, you've enabled this group to successfully prosecute, let's just round it off, 100 of these predators. Multiply that by 20 kids, and you just saved 2,000 kids in Virginia in 1 year alone from having these crimes perpetrated against them. So a lot of times when we're here, we don't think we're getting anything done. I can tell you that in this instance, you are all doing God's work. This bill is one of the bills in the package of bills. Like I said, there's a set of three. There's the ones that streamline the bills dealing with getting search warrants. There's this bill which deals with reporting. What we're trying to do is get the state police, the courts, and everything in all these groups to report to a central computerized system because we want to see if the prosecutions are being successful and if things are falling through the cracks. And the third is a bill up in appropriations right now trying to create a permanent funding stream for the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force group by applying a $10 fee to court records. But this bill is the reporting bill, and I hope it be the pleasure of the House to engross the bill or to pass the bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.